There's a lot of not smart people out there, my friend. We need to stop buying the snake oil. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend. Yeah, so I don't know if you noticed, but the stock's been on kind of a tear lately. Why is that? It's had its best week since May of 2013. 33% this week. Big gains. Now, you weren't listening to the perma bears, were you? The perma bears, the ones who, no matter what happens, they're never going to like it. By the way, if you'd like to hear my thoughts on why the stock has done well this week, it's a couple factors. One is that Tesla's doing good. It is executing. The concerns about Elon, the founder's risk about Elon being too busy, too distracted, too indispensable, have been a bit alleviated. Investors can see that he is dressed nice, he sounds nice, he looks well rested most of the time. He looked good at the investor meet at the expansion, the Gig in Nevada expansion meeting. But what we're seeing is, because the company can execute, it means either that he doesn't need to be there for it to run well, or it means that he's dividing his time in an effective manner. That's part of it. The second part is, everybody else is still faltering. The CEO of Toyota has been removed, and his name is Toyota. His name. That's his grandpa's company. Everybody's struggling. GM just announced that they're changing the battery cells in their Ultium platform. So I guess it was a penultium platform, second to last. So what's going on? Again, you don't listen to the people who can't change their mind, right? I know you guys don't, because you're here. The bearish calls of Tesla short seller Mark Spiegel paid off in January. Yeah, sometimes he's right. Sometimes he's right. Now, he's capable of saying sometimes, there's a couple things that are pretty good. But for the most part, he just says everything is bad. Everything is bad all the time. And sometimes the stock goes down, and he's right, and it pays off. Most of the time, not so much. His big claim to fame was he called the Big Short. He called it. I mean, a lot of people called it, but he's famous for that. He made a lot of money that week, and kind of not as much since. He certainly lost more than he's gained. That's true of a lot of us. It's hard to be right all the time. But you know who's wrong all the time? Our good friend Gojo. Gojo, once a top analyst, started covering Tesla back in 2018. And his tune has never changed. Sell, 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 sell. He's wrong. Now, he's no longer very bottom of the barrel. He's ranked bottom. He's ranked number 7,678 out of 8,304. Yeah, you wouldn't take advice on him on anything. The problem with being a snake oil salesman like this is you cannot be pleased. Gordon loved to set these ridiculously high. He'd say, by the way, production analysts, it's time, guys. We got to say what our production and delivery numbers are going to be. And everybody say, it's 100,000, it's 102. And he'd go out and say, it's 114,000. And it'd come out 114.3. He was right. He was accidentally right. He set a number so high that he could turn around and say, they didn't even meet expectations, but they still beat him, even his ridiculous ones. And yeah, still not happy. Well, this is ridiculous. They're running out of addressable market. Who's going to be left to buy the cars if they sell them all? By the way, I've invited Gordon Johnson to come on the channel for an interview a number of times. I know he has heard my voice. We were in a Twitter space together last week. And, he eventually got the whole thing muted. All of it. Like the moderators had to step in and shut down everyone's microphone. Because Gordon, incapable of one of these. When a problem comes along, as Dr. Evil might have told you, you must zip it. And then you've got Cathie Woods, who I think is, for better or for worse, kind of in the middle. She doesn't always say buy, buy, buy. Sometimes she sells, sometimes she buys. Sometimes it works, Sometimes it doesn't. The red flag for me was that her Monte Carlo simulation, where she ran all those scenarios that could affect the future value of Tesla, included some true head-scratchers like selling 100 million cars a year. That's not a thing, and it won't be. Not in our lifetimes, surely. Not with the current definition of automobiles. Another red flag was that, I don't want to get too far into it, but another red flag was that she was so proud that she was right about the stock valuation, but she was right for the wrong reasons. The stock didn't go up because of the reason she said, which was FSD. It went up for other reasons. So that's a red flag. I still have money in ARK because I would like to trust someone smarter than me to invest my money. And for now, that's Cathie. She's got vision that I don't, and we'll see if it works. But if I was managing that money, apart from putting it just in Tesla, I don't know what I would do with it. Then you've got Tesla Economist. And please don't pile on him anymore. Lee is a good guy. Lee is going through some difficult times. He advised his father that it was probably a good time to get in on Tesla. And his father did so, and he suffered tremendous losses. And at some point, you reach maximum pain. And unfortunately for Lee and his father, maximum pain came right about where the market ended up bottoming out. Now, you can't tell when the market's going to bottom out. So they did poorly on this investment, and since then, it's rebounded. This has led to some cynicism, and I would be cynical as well. But what's not warranted is people piling onto him on Twitter, on Reddit, on all the different social media sites, mocking him, criticizing him. He took some risks. He listened to people who said it was going to go up, up, up. You see, there were analysts, and I'm not talking about the YouTubers, who, when the stock was at all-time highs, I am talking about YouTubers, I'm not talking about the Wall Street analysts. There were YouTubers who said, when it hit all-time highs, it's going to do it again. It's going to 10x, 20x from here. And maybe it will, but people like Lee believed them. I mean, it sounded plausible. I was inclined to believe them, but I don't trade in and out, and I don't do options. So I didn't have the same risk exposure as someone else. I didn't have the money to buy in heavily. If you thought a year ago at all-time highs that it was going to 20x, you would have lost this much money too. And then you see people on Twitter attacking him in ways that are mind-boggling. This guy's been good to the community, and it offends me personally. Bradford Ferguson, who is kind of the nicest guy, laid into him so hard that I almost reported the comment as impersonation because clearly this can't be Brad's account. Because Brad is, I'm sorry, kind of a nice guy. Unless he's got like some dark passenger like Dexter and a closet full of glass slides. You don't have that, I trust, right? It was very strange to see. And it reminds you just how quickly this community can turn on you. The bears and the bulls can eat you alive. And they will, happily. So let's talk about survivorship bias. Because you're getting, not you, all of us are getting advice. I interviewed a gentleman, Jose Caldeño, who made his first bit of fortune in the 90s through the Motley Fool. And the Motley Fool engaged in a practice, I was a banker at the time, engaged in a practice that we kept our eye on, curious if it would get them in trouble. It exploits a thing called the survivorship bias. You go into a casino, you bet $100,000 on 37, and you make $3.5 million. And if I can do it, anyone can. Well, the odds are 3%. So you get a bunch of people, and pretty soon you've got a group of people who all made $3.5 million on $100,000. But let's look at the actual scam as it worked, as we were taught about it in banking. What actually happens is you send out 10,000 emails. And they say, hey, I'm going to recommend a small cap for you. And next week it's going to go up 10% or more. And if it doesn't, you'll never hear from me again. But I know it will. So you're going to hear from me. And they suggest 10,000 different small caps. Well, the week goes by, 400 of those hit. So everyone else is out. They'll forget about you. And you say, hey, it's me again. Remember me from last week? I said it would go up 10% and it did. Guess what? I can do it again. And to those 400 people you send out different suggestions, and 16 of those are probably going to get a hit, statistically. So it's been 2 weeks. You're up 20, 30, 40% in your portfolio, maybe 100%. And you got some clown saying, hey, man, check it out. For $1,000, I'll let you get my coaching tools. There are no coaching tools. The coaching tools are commit fraud. And I'm not saying that Motley Fool committed fraud, and I'm not saying any of these people committed fraud. What I'm saying is it's very easy to look at a false prophet and say, he was right, though. But he was right. If he was right for the wrong reasons, it doesn't count. Getting the right answer with the wrong math is not something you can reproduce. We need to stop giving money to people who are giving us bad advice. So how can you spot someone who's giving you bad advice? The answer may surprise you. Speaking of clickbait, the poll is still going. I'll give you a hint. It's not clickbait. It's one of those three things. Big announcement at the end of the show. It's either a car purchase, hosting a live event, or health-related. Which it gon' be? Tune in to find out. So what happens is, the question you have to ask is the person you're getting advice from capable of admitting when things go badly? Gordon Johnson cannot admit when things go right. Don't listen to him. Because if let's say things genuinely are bad, if they start going good, will he say so? Not a chance. Not a chance in hell. Can't listen to him. Can't take his advice. But the opposite is also true. If you're get entertainment from people who believe that Pope Musk is infallible. Do that by all means, but don't get advice from them. These people are hugely successful. I've seen complaints on Twitter and Reddit and elsewhere saying, why are all these guys such clickbait bastards? And the answer is, you keep clicking on them. We all do. It's human nature. That's what you're going to see more of. There are people who are all numbers. James Stevenson is all numbers. And his channel's growing great. But he's got a fraction, a sliver of the following that the big hype guys do. And it's obnoxious. The hype guys are wrong. So if you can't see any fault in what's going on, what does that mean? So a long time ago, almost 20 years, the lost gospel of Judas was found. My brothers and sisters, yes, we are speaking of the Lord today, something I don't normally do. Not to form an opinion. This isn't about Jesus. This is about my buddy John. Not the one from the gospel, a different guy. When the lost gospel of Judas was found, I looked at it in the news and read what was out, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is a missing piece of the puzzle. And I mentioned it to my buddy John, who's pretty darn religious, and he said, oh, nah, that's heresy. No, it's heretical. You don't understand. It was left out of the canon of the Bible on purpose. There was a reason copies of it were ordered to be destroyed. I said, but it makes sense. It fits with the story. It's not a contradiction. Yeah, but he's the bad guy. My pastor said he's the bad guy. We don't celebrate the bad guy. I said, we're not celebrating the bad guy. Judas's role was to get Jesus crucified, because without him, the prophecy cannot be fulfilled. Jesus said, one of you will betray me. If Judas hadn't done that, Jebus would have been a liar. Are you calling my homie Jesus a liar? John is. And I sat back and I said, after he left, I couldn't get it out of my head. I was like, you can't think critically about this. If your pastor is right, that's cool, but you'll never know when he's wrong because your pastor is infallible. So I just typed in Tesla to the moon. And I'm going to tell you, these are not people I follow. Well, Randy I do. That's different. I love me some Randy Kirk. Hi, Randy. Tesla takeover. Tesla to the moon with Ross Gerber. We just talked about him. Ross believes it's going to the moon. Mostly. Matt, all these people, do not listen to them. If they tell you they know the future of the stock, they are lying for personal gain. Some say it's going to go down because I want those clicks from those people who hate Tesla. Some say it's going up because I need them clicks from those people who love Tesla. But in any case, 40 views. Wow, I thought my channel was struggling. In any case, Starman. I mean, okay, that's actually to space, so I mean, that actually makes sense, I guess. But if they're saying it's going to the moon, and they're incapable of recognizing bad things when bad things happen, the getting rid of the ultrasonic sensors for parking might make sense. You know, we're going to go to vision-based only. Okay. Is it ready? No. That's a bad decision. I understand it. I accept it. I can rationalize it a bit, but to pretend it's anything other than a crazy, bad idea is a little weird. It doesn't make any sense. So, can you actually listen to these people? So one thing I do wish to mention is, and the big announcement's coming up, don't you worry. This video was originally going to be a bit different. It was something that I had scripted out, and it was about a particular hyperbole. More specifically, it was about two. It was about two guys who love to make projections, get huge recognition for it, and are always wrong. Sometimes one of them will go back and change his numbers to say, look how right I was. I was only off by 3.3%. No, you weren't, my friend. That's not how numbers work. You posted a range, a very, very wide range, and you missed. That's a miss, my friend. But he has 100 times as many patrons as me. He gets 100 times the income I get. Because he's exciting. And lies are exciting. We need better information. We deserve better information. You're here. You get better information. Whether it's from me or not, you get it because you're able to think through it. Able to think through it. And yeah, if you had followed those hyperboles advice, when I was at TeslaCon in Texas, they had a whole panel, which was going to be the bulls versus the bears. But they couldn't get a single bear to show up. So they said the bulls versus the ultra bulls. I don't remember who was the bulls and who was the ultra bulls, because I was running the soundboard and it was going. Boy, of all the events that I've ever worked on, that was definitely one of them. It was going interesting. These guys would just say, going to the moon, and the audience would cheer. And I was like, I don't know if I'm in a cult, but it sure feels like it. And these guys definitely are. I mean, they were leading Tesla chants and cheers, and it was uncomfortable and weird. We have to see through that. We have to recognize, Lee from Tesla Economist, he wouldn't have lost if he'd have just stayed in it. That's not always true. I still have a share of Arcimoto. And when I say a share, I mean, I think 1/5 of a share. They did a reverse split. I bought it something like $6. It's now worth something like, 30 cents, 40 cents. You can ride it all the way into the ground if you want. But most people are going to sell out at some point. What you and I see in Tesla is different. We follow it that closely. But we can't expect the people who listen to us to follow it as closely as we do. So we will get into your questions here momentarily. But the big announcement is, I think I'm going to the Investor Day. I think I'm going to do that. Yeah. Which means, of course, there will be a meet and greet held. And there will be possibly a dinner the night before or a breakfast the morning after. Something like that to allow a quieter, more personal experience. We'll get that all figured out. But yeah, I think I'm going to go there. Besides, being 0 for 5 events is one thing, but being 0 for 6, well, that's one more, isn't it? And who knows? Maybe this is the one. Maybe this is the one I get into. They said Harry says I need to man up and name names. Harry, come find me. I will absolutely name names. If you find me in person, if you come to my event in Texas, I will tell you who I'm talking about. Yeah. Am I going into Investor Day? To be determined. The Patreon list will be updated shortly. I do have some new patrons. I wish to thank you all. This is why I'm able to do the show. This is it. I saw a comment. I wish people, the big YouTubers didn't have to chase the algorithm and give dishonest content. Hey, guess what? I don't give dishonest content, and these guys allow me to not have to chase the algorithm as much. It is painful. Sometimes I'll go, I have one more subscriber than I did 12 days ago. Because sometimes YouTube just doesn't show my material. It's painful, but beyond my control. I just make content that I can make. That's how it works. So, why don't we take a minute and go through the questions? Hi guys, howdy. Howdy, hello there. Let's click on that so I can see what I'm actually doing. Do this. The poll. Oh, what's going to be? Well, I mean, really. Oh, I can't end that from here because I'm in the wrong. Account. End it. There we go. Okay, let's go through the questions. Live chat is usually fun, but depends on the time zones. Yeah. Would they let you stream at Investor Day? No, but, probably not. But the real problem is bandwidth. You can't get bandwidth in locations like that. Even if if they've got the Wi-Fi running, the pipe's just not thick enough for all of us. And if you're on the cell tower, it's definitely not going to work. So unfortunately, no. LG says some hard truths in this video. Yes. Daniel said car purchase. It was a good guess. They were all good guesses. Oh, the health news is I've lost another pound or so. I don't know. I'm down 12 since I started at the beginning of December. But it's real tough, man. It's real tough. The goal is a pound a week. As opposed to the old goal, which was a pound cake a week. That's not true. I made that up for humor. Oh, that's a good idea. Can I get Harry Potter's cloak of invisibility? I don't see why not. I think that's probably my best bet for getting in. Why do I think Tesla is so hush-hush on the pricing, on the semi-pricing? Because it's too high. It's embarrassingly high. It's why every company is very hush-hush on their semi-pricing and their semi-weight. They're both too high. And they're both coming down. All the factories, JJ's in here probably. Nikola's got a huge expansion they're working on, which will allow them to go from building on stations to building on a line, the way Kenworth does, the way Peterbilt obviously does, the way a lot of the big guys do. That's what Tesla's trying to do. And it's tough to say what the final price is going to be. And also there's the battery credit, which is still a little ambiguous, and the buyer credit, which is less ambiguous, but still lacking clarity. With the semi, it all comes down to dollars and cents. Either it works or it do not. Yeah. And that's possible. Harry says it's a business-to-business product. They may be cutting deals based on the circumstances. That's really common. I think you're right on that, Harry. It could be when the first 777 was made, Boeing's customer who wanted it got a discount because it didn't meet the specs that it was supposed to. It was basically a flying prototype. And the customer said, I'm fine with that. Just give me that discount and we good. Yeah. They may have given Pepsi deals for data on a new product. Yeah, they may have. And Pepsi might want it for the publicity. I don't know. Pepsi, the official drink of, we don't have Coke. Is Pepsi okay? Is that a joke about pipe? I don't recall, John Bay. Maybe you can remind me what I said. Some hard truths. Yes, indeed. That's why I have a small but loyal following. I do. Thank you, Digital Blade Canada. I absolutely do. For as small as my channel, I cannot believe how awesome the fans are, how you guys come back and give me information and advice and suggestions and support. This is a very unique community. And it's definitely frustrating that I've carved out the absolute smallest corner of it, but it'll grow. One problem I have is I'm not so pretty as the others. I'm working on it. And there's a handful of big shots who just don't care for me for whatever reason. That's fine. I've dealt with that in jobs before. Bring a cup so you can drink from the well of knowledge. I'd be afraid it would overfloweth. Am I going into Investor Day? I sure hope so. Fund. I respect the guy. He didn't force anyone to listen to him. Now with the fund, it may be different though. I'm not sure which person we were talking about that's in reference to. Very difficult to know if you're in a cult, David. That is true. It doesn't look like it from the inside. It certainly didn't. I once made a video called "The Myth of the Tesla Fanboy Does Not Exist," and my gosh, was that unpopular among people who say, yes it is, and people who say, that's me, I'm a fanboy. I exist. I was mistaken. I misunderstood the brand loyalty. Wow. We got grifters in the Tesla community now. We sure do. Still harping on the soundboard. Yeah, of course I am. I got genuinely screwed on the soundboard situation. The day after TeslaCon, I was excited. I was going to go join the caravan down to Starbase. I've still never been. It's like 3 hours away. I can't get there without joining the caravan, and why would I? And so I sent a tweet to the organizers of TeslaCon, who had invited me to come down and do the soundboard thing, and to Gail, who's really awesome and very kind of influential in the Tesla community in Austin. And none of them retweeted it, and so it just died. And no one knew that I was interested in going to the caravan, and it just didn't happen. And then I found out later that the TeslaCon guys had a very serious dislike for me. I didn't know that. I had no idea. And they also dislike Gail because it's Texas and these must be cattle ranchers because everywhere they go, they rounding up beef. What if we think for ourselves instead of following social media people? I agree, Harry, and I will follow your advice. Well, we all tried to do that. But just like trying to not click on clickbait, we can't help it. These are things that tie into our human nature. I could get mad that people who do dishonest practices, who engage in those practices, are 100 times more successful than me. But I can't do it. I can't be that kind of monster. I just can't do it. Someone didn't provide any valuable information to you, and that's why you stopped listening. Don't think he was a fraud. Did you hear that? Well, that's super weird. Well, if I get assaulted, you'll get to watch it live. How about that? He's been a fraud for years. Used to watch him. Had to stop. I wonder who that is. I'll have to scroll back up. Oh, that scumbag Kevin? Who's Kevin? There was a Kevin who was at TeslaCon, and it's Meet Kevin, I think. I don't know. I don't follow him. I don't watch his channel. I don't know much about him. If he engages in practices that are questionable. But how much valuable information is there? That's the beauty of the Tesla sphere, is that there's so much good information that you can get your own analysis. You can perform your own analysis. You can look at the factories yourself. You can look at the battery. You can follow people like Jordan Giesecke who actually break inside the batteries to tell you what's going on. He gets genius level people from research institutes to do it for him. It's amazing. Other companies struggle. Other companies wish they could get this kind of investor and fan engagement. And as a result, they take advantage of us because they can. Why would they give any benefits to people like us? Why would they let me into an event? It's frustrating. But, hey, man. Sounded like you're drier. Hello, Todd. Didn't see you in here earlier. Well, I guess I did. Hello, Todd. I met Todd in Texas. Todd, I'm coming back to Texas. Maybe I shall see you there. Yeah. Yeah. Do I think a version of the Cybertruck will have the same configuration of motors the Semi has? It's a good question. I think if there's a Plaid Plus, we might see that two-step motor system where the clutch disengages and there's one motor designed for the higher speed. It'd be an interesting solution to get you to the sound barrier. What is there to dislike about me? I don't know. I have a very close friend whose other best friend despises me because at the time he wanted to be a stand-up comedian and he wasn't terribly funny, but he was charismatic and he pushed like hell and he would get some gigs. But I was working in comedy as a writer and he despised me because he had all the connections and the good looks and I had the talent. Now, I'm not saying I have more talent than the good-looking people covering Tesla. But I will tell you that there are quite a few people who just read the news, and all of them have bigger following than me. Not all, but a lot. Yeah. Thank you, Charlie. Me, Jordan Giesecke, and Rob from Tesla Daily are the primary sources on YouTube. Good stuff. Hard to go wrong. Any rumors on the couple of semis that are being towed? No, I assume that they're technical problems that you get with any new vehicle, with any new model. Maybe there's some insight on that I can get on the show or after the show from my source in Nevada. But I don't think so. I like Lars too. Lars is awesome. Lars does go beyond reading the news. Lars will drive a car through the Arctic tundra to make a story and get to the bottom of things. It's awesome. I'm going to be seeing Lars again in April. What is that? April, May? For the Fully Charged event in Farnborough. Is that a poster of a charger in the background? Yeah. It's there's a video, an interview with the guy who runs the company coming up on Sunday. My Garage Graphics. I met him in Florida at the TeslaCon. And it'll normally look better. It's a vinyl cling. I just haven't cleaned the wall. Why am I forgetting about Mr. Loomis? I haven't had a chance to catch his videos lately. It's just I'm so busy. And I do love me some Dylan. He's got a great operation. And he's also a super nice guy. He was one of the first people, one of the very, very few people to give me a look behind the curtain to know how to better run the business side of the channel. Because most channels are very secretive about that stuff. And it's a problem. Yeah. Chelsea says, I really do shout out your channel when people in chats request Rob or Steven to do things. Yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's bizarre. I've seen so little mention of Tesla Economist until he lost so much money. And then all of a sudden, everyone knows who he is and he's everywhere. And it's like, where was the support a week ago? Now, mind you, Tesla Economist does have 50,000-ish subscribers, which is respectable. Steven, the ultimate grifter. Now, Steven has used footage of mine a time or two. He didn't ask for it, and he did put the credit so low that I got no clicks from it. Like, literally zero. Like, he got his usual 100,000 views, and I got 4 extra subscribers that day. But I've reached out to Steven, 3-4 times to ask about doing an interview, and I haven't heard anything back. And I've asked Dave Lee about interviews, and I haven't heard anything back. And I know at least as of April, Dave Lee didn't know who I was. Maybe he does now. I don't know. Dave Lee's a pretty cool guy, and I appreciate what he does because he isn't chasing the money. I don't know what he's doing it for, but yeah, it's interesting. I got tired of Steven's language. Yeah. The political part feels unnecessary to me. Oh, it's 7:35. I've got 2 important phone calls I need to make tonight in regards to getting the Texas things set up. One to my friend LG and one to my friend Jeff. If anyone else is going to be in Texas, by all means, get in touch with me. Leave a comment below. All that good stuff. Well, so let's see here. Yeah, so that's where we're at. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on this Friday night. You had all the choices in the world of what you could be doing, but you're here. And that's pretty cool. So thanks for that. And yeah. Who is this says, I feel so left out. Why, man? Why? Why do you? You shouldn't. Boop, 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 boop. What's that? Something about Toronto? Did I zoom in too much? Let's see. Let's see. I don't want to leave anybody out. Not even who's this? We are a pretty cool gang. And yeah, LG, you know what's up. No call to me. I don't know your phone number. I don't think. Unless there's some very big secret that I didn't know about. Oh, wow. I don't know anything about this. Okay. Fantastic. All y'alls. Stay tuned. Stay juicy. Oh, I'll be doing my best to capture decent footage from the auto show in Toronto next month. It'll be all yours. Awesome. Thank you. Very cool. So stay tuned. Stay juicy. And I can't wait to hear from you clever robots on the flippity flop.